Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis. And this week I'm joined again in what we're hoping is going to become a regular feature by the immutable Randy Ray.
Irrepressible, I think was
Irrepressible,
Irrepressible Randy Ray.
Yeah.
Rambling
Randy Ray. There we go.
Which is certainly appropriate because I do tend to ramble. I think it's part of my charm, though, or some of my viewers think it's part of my charm anyway. I've had comments to that effect.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Greg doesn't. Oh, yeah. I was going to say Greg doesn't care about me. He's just like, howdy, Randy. And then,
hey.
Oh, hi, Mark. So yeah, I mean, I can't remember, of course, where we were last week, but I think we will start off like we did last week, a little bit about what you've been able to read this week, and you were telling me a little bit about that before we came on. So,
oh yeah, well, you know what? I've had a good reading month so far. I've been keeping a reading log, and I've been using ChatGPT for this purpose, which is something I didn't know I could do, and it's really great. You just have to keep your reading log all in one chat. You can't have multiple chats because it can't remember from one chat to the other. But I've read.
Be careful, Randy, because I think there is I read somewhere there is a memory. What do you call it? It maxes out after a certain time, so it won't keep there forever. I think it's after like 100,000. I don't know if it's 100,000 words or something like that, but it will then cease to remember. So,
well, I know it's got its limitations. It's interesting though, because there's some things it can't do and just won't admit to it, and it'll just make stuff up.
Yeah.
So, I started a new conversation with it the other day. I said, why don't you pull up my reading log that I've been keeping? And it's got a list of books that not only have I not read, but at least one of them was a book that I've read and disliked intensely. The Star's My Destination by Alfred Bester. I know everybody loves that book and it comes up all the time, but I hated that book. But at any rate, here's what I have read. Let's talk about what I have read. It's Book Trek, and I just finished reading Strangers from the Sky, which was one of the giant novels. I don't know if you were reading Trek fiction during the late 80s and early 90s.
I think Strangers from the Sky is the only Star Trek book I've ever read, and that's because in the first year of Book Trek, I was taking part in it because, I was quite close with Vin when he started it. And then Steve Donahue did some recommendations, and this was one of them. And so it was the only one to date that I've ever read. So,
well, I really enjoyed it, and it's an interesting. The history of Star Trek book publishing is really interesting because in the late 60s, real early 70s, it was anything goes. They figured this is just another dead TV show, and we might as well make a few bucks out of it, but we don't really care what the authors write. And so it was a lot of fan fiction. But then in the 80s, Star Trek the Motion Picture came out, and it was #1 in the numbered series of books that Pocket Books published. All the novelizations were part of that numbered series, and they cranked them out. I think one year they cranked out a new Star Trek book every month for a total of a dozen of them. But they're short books. I mean, they're probably 70,000 words or something like that. But they got a new editor at one time, and he wanted to do what he called giant novels. And Strangers from the Sky was the first of the new Star Trek giant novels. And I read it, I don't know. I was probably 26, 27 when I read it the first time. And I liked it better then than I did now, but I still liked it. It's a fine novel. But I've also read, there's a pair of novels from A.C. Crispin in the series. One is called Yesterday's Sun, and the other one's called Time for Yesterday. You don't know about those because you've only read the one Star Trek novel ever. But in the penultimate episode of the series, they wind up on this planet that is due to explode, or the sun is about to explode. And rather than try to evacuate the planet by sending them off-world, they're sending them back in the past. And so Spock and McCoy wind up 5,000 years in the past. Spock reverts to what a Vulcan would have been like 5,000 years ago with all of his animal passions and winds up impregnating this woman.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this one before.
Yeah. So in the books, Spock's dealing with a son named Czar. And anyway, those were entertaining. Obviously somebody just really wanted to do what they wanted to do. But yeah, I've read those. I'm also
hang on, Randy. I'll just pause you there because I don't want to end up behind. We do have a few comments already, so
yeah, let's see what the comments are saying.
So
I'll talk all day.
I'm ready when you all are. Haha. Jenny's here. Hello.
Hey, Jenny. Always love to see Jenny.
Howdy, Randy and Mark. How are y'all? We're very well.
Hi, y'all. How y'all are?
Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
I didn't like Stars My Destination either.
So good. I'm glad it's not just me.
Jim's books reading stuff is here. Hey, y'all.
Hey, Jim.
I love Strangers from the Sky. Now it's harder because it no longer feels canon.
Oh yeah, not at all. Doesn't feel canon at all. I've given up on that as a signal of quality. I'm just looking for a good story, well told these days.
Yo, what's up, fellas? And hello to you, Perpetual Shelves. And Jim's got a comment here. My favorite Star Trek, The Wounded Sky, by Diane Duane, using the original crew. So
yeah, I've got that on my list. I don't know if I'll get to it this year or not, but I've been cranking through these Star Trek books. Can I keep talking about what I'm reading?
Please go for it.
Oh, so I'm also reading a sword and sorcery novel called Lowtown, and I can't remember the author's name, but it's kind of like, I saw it described as The Wire, but in a medieval fantasy setting. The main character is a drug dealer and a crime lord in this medieval fantasy town, but he used to be a police officer, or what went for a police officer then. They call them the Imperial Guard or something like that. But so far, it's been really entertaining. I was really surprised at how much I've been enjoying it. And then I'm also reading King Solomon's. I keep several books going at once, but I'm on chapter 4 of King Solomon's Minds, which is a reread for me. King Solomon's Mind might make for a nice novel too. It's a great title.
Could do.
I love my H. Rider Haggard. I love my adventure books. So that's basically what I'm reading right now. I can't think of anything else.
It was written for a bet, don't you?
No. Tell me about that.
So when Stevenson published Treasure Island, I think I've got it the right way around. Yeah. When Stevenson published Treasure Island, Rider Haggard I think he was on a train or something with his brother, and they were discussing it. And he said, I can write an adventure book or something in whatever it was, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. He said, I can do that. And I can't remember how much they bet. And so he did. And that was King Solomon's Mines. So.
Well, it's a rollicking good time. I also really enjoyed She when I read it last year, and I'm looking forward to rereading it. But I'll probably read, I say this, I'll probably read all of H. Rider Haggard. It's a big project, though, because he wrote a lot of books, 58 books, I think.
I think it's over 70. I made a fairly good start on the Alan Quatermain series, though. I think I read at least the first 7, 8.
Quatermain's an interesting character.
Yeah.
At least so far in King Solomon's Mind, because he keeps talking about how timid he is and how he really doesn't want to go on this adventure. He's all adventured and worn out. But he's 55 years old. He's my age. So, but
the early ones.
Yeah.
I think King Solomon's Mine is the first, but then he goes back and writes kind of prequels, so you can go through Alan Quatermain as a young man, and he first moves to South Africa, or maybe he's born.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what his attitude towards adventure is as a younger man.
Yeah. So
yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying the adventure stuff. Adventure reading.
There you go. Adventure reading. Yeah. Well, moving on. Jenny says every great IP seems to have its canon obliterated. I don't know what an IP is apart from internet provider. So I'm
intellectual property.
Okay. Lou's here. Hi, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Farah is also here. Hi, Farah. Good to see you.
Hey there.
Jim says, cool. Oh, it's to Erin, not to us. Greg, since there are two of you, I think the correct address of y'all is singular, all y'all is plural. So
all y'all.
How
y'all are.
Yeah.
My daddy, when I was a boy, I used to go fishing with my daddy almost every night. And we used to go fishing with this old man named Normus Free. His first name was Normus. And he was just an old farmer in coveralls with a thick Cajun accent. I couldn't understand him, but I loved to listen to him talk. And when my mama died in 2000, I was 30 years old. And Daddy took me aside. And he said, I thought I'd have Normus preach the funeral. And I said, Normus? Why him? And he said, well, he is a preacher, son. I said, well, hell, I didn't know that. I just thought he was an old farmer. All I'd ever heard him do is talk about how stubborn his mule was. He had all these stories about this stubborn old mule. But anyway, yeah, Daddy went to church with Normus for the rest of his life after Mama died. But I love to listen to him talk. It's my favorite accent in the world. Is Cajun, except there was a woman I worked with at hotels.com from France named Marianne. Oh, and I could listen to her talk for the rest of my life and never get tired.
Bonjour, Randy.
Oh, she was so sweet. I went to work on my birthday, and she didn't realize it was my birthday beforehand because we were just getting to know each other at work. When she found out it was my birthday, she wrote me a birthday letter and sprayed it with her perfume.
Ooh, ooh la
la. One of the best birthday presents I ever got. I guess nice. I'm just an old romantic, Mark.
Linda's here. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Jim, y'all is the main second person plural pronoun in Southern American English. There you go. And Jenny says, 16th of July, and I've only read 1.5 books. Doesn't even feel like a slump. Just can't seem to focus on anything. Yeah, I was a bit like that too, Jenny. I have managed to finish. I managed to finish 2 books. My books. I'm going to put in inverted commas. You have finished, Randy, have you? I'm not stepping over you.
I have finished. Yeah. Well, so the stuff about what I've been reading. I want to hear about what you've been reading, of course. And then I want to invite our guests in the comments. I don't know if the purpose of our little show here has been made clear, but the idea is Mark and I are trying to figure out how to get rich and famous on YouTube.
That's right.
So we're going to offer tips. If tips from guys with 2,000 subscribers mean anything to you guys, but also answer questions and maybe get some advice from the audience. But we always talk about what we've read first.
Yeah, it always seems weird doing a BookTube video without it, I think. I don't know. I'm an old traditionalist, but one of the books, it was, as I say, more like a pamphlet. I did read Thomas Paine's Common Sense, which was tricky for me as an Englishman. But actually I did agree with quite a lot of it. I thought it was quite relevant today and I enjoyed it. So there's that one. And then I did finish the just yesterday, I think, or the day before, I did finish the on my Patreon, the book club pick, which is for Private Eye July, one of the Vishpuri books called The Case of the Reincarnated Client, and that was good fun. And I went straight into the last in the series, The Case of the Missing Bombay Duck, which I'm halfway through at the moment. That's good fun. And then one that's really surprised me, one nonfiction that I started, it was a cheap deal on Amazon Kindle. It's called Dead in the Water. And it's like an investigation by these 2 journalists into this ship. And it goes all into like the corruption and criminal stuff surrounding international shipping. Yeah, because there was this ship that was supposedly boarded by like Somali pirates, and they supposedly fired a grenade into like the crew area. Everybody survived. And then they kind of got rescued by the Americans and taken to safety. But the people were curious about, finding out what happened. So they sent this Englishman on there to look it up. He was living in Yemen. And he said, well, it doesn't look like there was any kind of rocket grenade. This looks like someone's maybe started a fire, or maybe it was some kind of bomb, whatever. So he's writing his report about it and whatnot. And he decides, he's going to leave the office. He leaves the office. He gets into his car blows up. and it's a, it's all a true story, right? So it's pretty crazy. It's absolutely fascinating. And then the other nonfiction I'm currently reading is this one, which I actually have. The others are on ebook, but this one I'm reading as a physical book, which is The Trader, the Owner, the Slave: Parallel Lives in the Age of Slavery. So it follows the trader, which is what's his name, John Newton, who used to buy and transport slaves from Africa to the Americas, but then he became religious, and he actually is the man who wrote the hymn Amazing Grace.
Wow.
So he came on and wrote the hymn Amazing Grace, and then it kind of gets into his involvement with the abolitionist movement. And then the owner is horrific. Oh my God. I would say there's a trigger warning if you read about it, because he keeps a diary where he lists everything that he does, both, to the slaves. He also keeps a record of every single woman he slept with is in his entire life. So including those he slept with in England.
Everybody does that, right?
Well, including those he slept with in England and those he, I guess, basically raped because they were slaves and couldn't do anything about it. So he's a very grim character. But then bizarrely, he is kind of one of the foremost earliest ornithologists and botanists in Jamaica. So it's kind of a weird dichotomy. And then the last one's the slave, but I haven't got to him yet. So it's Thomas Thistlewood is the owner, and the slave is Alauda Equino. So yeah, we should find out about it. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So that's it. I'm all caught up. We got a few comments, and then we'll jump into how to make $1 million in 10 months on BookTube. And if not, Randy will give you all.
That'd be a great title for a video, by the way.
Yeah. Well, how not to make $1 million in. So let's see. So TikTok dances might help. So there we go, Randy. Well, you mentioned
TikTok,
about
what?
dances.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
I do have some dance moves. My old boots have slid across a few floors, let's just say.
Yeah. Well, you were contemplating starting your OnlyFans last week, so we'll check in a bit and see how that's been going for you.
Mark, when you come to Texas, we will go honky tonking and we will do some country dancing.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Have you heard of, what line dancing is, right?
Yeah, I do.
This is something people don't always know about me, but I line dance perfectly. But I'm just a step behind everyone else.
But
I'm
yeah. In this corner of BookTube, those are the 20,000 subscribers include Criminality, Shelley Spurgeon, Michael Gable, and Steve Donahue. But if you want to get rich and famous, you will. Yes, we know. Believe me, Jim, we know.
If you want to get rich and famous, you won't talk books.
Yeah, well,
that's true. It's a lot easier to get rich and famous talking about a different niche.
Mm-hmm. Jack Edwards comes across as a reader and does very well. Linda says he was English legislator. Oh, William Wilberforce. Yeah. Of course, he's very famous in England. I don't know how famous he is in America, but we all know William Wilberforce, and he's actually, of course, in the book because his spiritual counsel was John Newton. So there we go. And you're related to him. Sorry, that's cool. That's very cool. I don't know if you know him, Randy, but William Wilberforce was a very early and instrumental part of the abolition of the slave trade in Britain.
No, never heard of him.
I think there's a film called him. Actually, I think the film is called Amazing Grace. So it's got
great song.
A great song, and he penned it in because he used to try to write a hymn for every sermon. So it's not like he spent ages on it. He just did it 1 week for one sermon, and it just
amazing.
It hit the 18th century religious music algorithm and just took off. So perpetual shells. I recently read Wallace Stegner's biography, and it was really inspiring. Now I'm reading The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. Speaking of James, Quaint and Curious Volumes is here. Know how to make $1 million on BookTube. Start with 2 million. Yeah, good one. As Jim says.
Quaint and Curious Volumes. Hey, man. What's up, James?
Yeah.
He's a favorite of mine.
Jenny, I've only seen a couple of his videos about events. Is his reviews good to watch him? I guess that's Edwards again. I'd like to read more.
Jack Edwards has the most popular YouTube video of all time, which has 2.1 million page views.
What was it about?
It was about whether or not you can trust the recommendations from BookTok.
There you go. There you go.
His second most popular video of all time is about whether or not you can trust the recommendations from BookTube. And that one's had 1.6 million views. So believe it or not, I do actually do a little bit of research before some of these videos.
Well, there you go. That's what it's all about, isn't it? The research.
Yeah.
I like Jenny's idea of TikTok dancers, add trucks driving on ice, accidents involving mail, soft parts, children swearing, Bigfoot sightings. That seems perfect for a BookTube channel. Linda, I'm reading Truman by David McCullough. And well-educated.
Oh, nice. My dad liked that book.
Amazing Grace is the book by Eric Metaxas, and the film was from that book. Imagine all that in just one video, Greg. Sounds awesome. Jack Edwards apparently has 2 channels. Gareth is here. Hi, Gareth. Game of Authors, Amazing Grace is a great movie. Albert Finney plays John Newton. Benedict Cumberbatch as William Pitt. So we're all caught up. So
Albert Finney is a fine actor.
Yes. But did he have a BookTube channel? No, he didn't.
No, he sure didn't.
No, he sure
would
didn't.
he make it if he had a BookTube channel? Who knows?
Well, who knows? Exactly. Who knows? Who knows how you make it? If you've got to fake it.
There's an element of luck out here.
I believe so. I'm really curious.
But there's also an element of skill.
Well, there is and there isn't. That's true. I think there's an element of skill in maintaining it. I really don't believe. We touched on it last week. I don't see how you can go out of the box immediately. You know, some of these videos, literally their first video, the BookTube newbie tag or whatever, they get 1,000 views or something within the first time. Surely that's not skill.
See, this is the box, and you want to be outside the box.
Yeah.
I've been dying to do that for a long time.
Now, I have a question for you, Randy. You know, you follow a lot more of these big booktubers than I do, right?
Not very many. There's a few, just a handful that I follow.
I mean, do you think, I know it's a touchy question or a controversial question, but with some of these, and I know I've seen a few in my time, do you believe that all of these people read those books?
No, I don't, which is really odd to me too, because if you don't read books, why would you go into this niche? Because there are so many more niches that would be so much more profitable, so much more quickly.
Yeah.
For example, I left corporate America in 2005. Yeah, it was 2005 to work for myself, and I worked for myself with websites that I owned and operated and sold advertising on. And I experimented with multiple niches before I finally settled on one that I was interested enough in to actually work on, and that was also really profitable. And that was the gambling niche. It turns out, I'm really good at math, as it turns out, and I'm also really good at explaining math. And so I have a knack for explaining, how the casino gets its edge at various casino games. And it was insanely profitable. But, those kinds of things come with risks too. The riskier the business is, the more profitable it tends to be if you make it in it,
So if you
in the United States, gambling online is well, let's just say the legal situation is interesting.
So if you hadn't done BookTube and you wanted to make coin, as they say, from YouTube, would you have done some kind of online gambling tutorial program or something like that then? Channel?
Yeah, in fact, that's it's not impossible that I might launch a gambling channel on YouTube at some point. There's another niche that I would qualify for too, and that's the health and weight loss niche. Because a lot of people don't know this about me, but I used to weigh 690 pounds, which I think is the perfect title for a video, by the way. I used to weigh 690 pounds, ... Who's not going to click on that?
That's true. That's true.
Because for one thing, you want to know how much I weigh now.
Don't tell anybody. Save it for your launch.
I'm gonna save it for the video. Also, it's fluctuating. You know, and it's fluctuated quite a bit over the last couple of years. But I do have gallows humor here. I do have a step-by-step plan for losing large amounts of weight. Step 1, get cancer. Step 2, get cancer treatment.
Jesus, well, that's extreme.
It worked for me.
Well, you can't argue with that, but
I try to look on the bright side, man.
But you're very tall as well, though, aren't you, Randy? You are very.
I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3". I think I'm an inch taller than you, or an inch shorter than you.
I'm 6 foot, pushing between 6 foot and 6'1". Yeah, so
6'1". I was talking with an ex-girlfriend of mine last night, and she's 6'1". She was a yoga teacher, 6'1". And her legs reached all the way to the ground. Let me tell you. Yeah, but anyway, it was nice to hear from her last night. And interesting story. I'm still friends with her. We dated about 7 years ago. I'm still friends with her, but I send her son books. He's not a reader, but he's becoming a reader because I sent him a copy of Lonesome Dove, which he actually read all the way through. And she told me he really enjoyed it, so I bought him a copy of Shane. And now I'm really going to stretch things. I'm going to get him a copy of Old Man's War by John Scalzi and see how he feels about that. Little science fiction in there, you know. I loved Old Man's War, by the way. I don't know if you've read it, but I thought it was terrific. I'm also going to get him the first book in the Murderbot Diaries because that's only 150 pages.
Gareth says, BookTube, resilience, confidence, commitment, passion, and time. Well, I think in an ideal world, but there's plenty of people, I think, Gareth, who do have those qualities and are still, got 200 subscribers, which of course there's nothing wrong with that, but they might feel a bit, disheartened. You have to forgive me sometimes. I've lived abroad so long and spent so much time speaking with people whose English is not their first language. I know I start to forget more complicated words. It takes me a bit of time to go. But I think that's ideal. But I don't know if that really applies to a lot of those who are successful, because especially things like commitment and time, if you get your success very early on, you haven't really put in any time or any commitment. So I don't know. I'm just still such a big believer in luck of it all, but let's see. Jenny says, I think newbie tags do well because people actually go looking for them. After that, you just have to hope people like you. Regarding the weight, no spoilers, Randy. The channels that do those massive book hauls, I doubt read those books. And when they do it, it's just, I like this book with no elaboration. Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious. I was thinking, Randy, maybe I'll start a new channel in an area of reading that I absolutely don't read, like young adult, and then not read any of the books at all and just talk about it and see how far I get.
And see how it does, yeah.
See how it does.
An interesting idea.
Where are we? Yeah. Oh, okay, they're still talking about the Amazing Grace book and film. Congrats, Randy, on losing all that weight. Greg recommends cocaine as another good weight loss method. Jenny goes on for something else. I don't know if I can say these things really on
I'm back
on YouTube. On BookTube, sometimes the books are just aesthetic and they might have a dozen copies of the same book in different editions. I think that's true. I don't know what you mean about which one worked for you, whether we're talking about cancer, cocaine, or heroin, or something else. Old Man's War is great. So is Murderbot stuff. Murderbot was great fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the show.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
It's luck too. Morning. I've recently finished the first in the Murderbot series. Enjoyable. I did start Lonesome Dove with your book club, Randy, but going slow on digital. Jenny, I could start a new channel called What Would Rent Boy Do? So from Train Spotting, I guess. So, of course, a reminder to anybody who's watching who doesn't know Randy and his channel, please do head over to Randy Ray, the Literate Texan, and subscribe to his channel. Jenny has a question for you, Randy. You've seen the Murderbot show, have you? Randy?
I have not seen the show. I don't watch a lot of television.
Just watch a lot of yourself on YouTube.
I used to watch a lot of films, but I'm like a classic film buff. And for me, classic film, of course, my younger friends, you know, they think a classic film is something from the 80s. But to me, you know, I'm thinking 30s, 40s, and 50s. That's generally what I like to watch, or movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, especially film noir.
The Murderbot show on Apple TV is brilliant. I will read the book now. So, Randy, you know, imagine there's let's say you're 55, I'm 45. We'll cut it in the middle to 50, right? I'm a 50-year-old man. Or woman. Yeah, man or woman. And I'm thinking I might start a BookTube channel. What do you say to them?
I think it's a good idea. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But I think you want to, it's like anything else that you undertake.
Oh my God.
Did I disappear for a second?
You did a little, yeah.
I think you should examine your motives for doing so. What is it that you want out of the situation? You know, do you just want to form a community and have people to talk about books with? Do you want to make money? There's no wrong answer there, in my opinion. Now, some people think there is a wrong answer there. You know, I've seen some booktubers talk about how you should not be doing booktube to make money. You just shouldn't do it. It somehow sullies the experience, and I don't believe that necessarily. Well, you can be honest and talk about your opinions of books, and at the same time make money at it.
Well, Jim is saying,
look at Ollie, look at Criminality, you know.
Well, Jim is saying BookTube is a hobby, not a road to riches. Now, I think it's important that we're kind of half serious in this show. We're not actually, of course, you know, giving any. We're giving well-meaning advice from our own experiences, but of course, neither of us are under any illusions that we're going to become the next Jack Edwards or anything, right? So I think it's important to say that
I'm going to be the next Jack Edwards.
Okay. One of us is under the
elderly Jack Edwards.
One of us is under the illusion he's going to become the next.
We're going to have Jack Edwards as a guest on the show at some point.
That would be.
He's on my list of guests that I'm lining up. But
that would be a coup. Hey, who could say no to you, Randy? So, oh, he's gone again. Am I still here when he cuts off like that, or are we both gone? Hello. Quick, write in the comments.
I think I'm having connection problems. Is that apparent on your end at all?
That you just kind of freeze and stop, and there's no sound.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's not your fault, is it? But if we're going to get some big guests on there, you're going to have to get it sorted out. So,
you know, I kind of like Jack Edwards' channel, and you know, success leaves clues. I mean, you can look at some of the things that he's doing, and there are some things that you can emulate. And one of the things that Jack Edwards has done that I think everybody should do is when something works, you know what? Keep doing it. Jack Edwards got a huge following just from reading books that were recommended by celebrities.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just I read everything that Rory Gilmore was seen reading in the Gilmore Girls. It was, you know, I read every book that was in Oprah Winfrey Book Club this year, and then Reese Witherspoon, and just one right after another, you know, because they worked. Audiences liked the content, so he kept doing it.
I still maintain that we've missed out on an extremely lucrative and entertaining YouTube channel / podcast, which was you, me, and Sean Standfast going through each episode of the Gilmore Girls. Because, of course, there's one thing some people don't know is all three of us are very big fans of the Gilmore Girls.
Very big fans. Yes, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I think it would be great fun to take an episode every week and just chat about it.
I've got an idea for what we could call it.
What's that?
We could call it the Gilmore Guys.
The Gilmore Guys. There you go. You see? Yeah. That would be fun.
We're going to add this to the list.
Well, you just can't think of maybe 3 more unlikely characters.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody looks at well, nobody's going to look at any one of us or the 3 of us and think, oh, there's a Gilmore Girls fan there, right there.
There you go. Yeah.
I can see somebody pointing at us and said, oh, God, that guy's into science fiction and comic books. But I can't see somebody pointing at me and saying, oh, that guy obviously loves the Gilmore Girls.
There you go. Gilmore Girls. Fantastic.
I'll say this, though. I was talking earlier about repeating success.
Oh, I was going to say, I hope that's the camera, not you.
One of the ways to be successful is drop your camera during broadcasts. So not too long ago, Greg made a video that went viral and was picking up something like, I don't remember, 1,000 new subscribers a day or 1,000 page views a day. It was a lot. And of course, now this doesn't want to stay at all. But so I went to that video and I made a video as similar to it as I possibly could. And it's the number 4 most watched video on my channel. And I've got over 200 videos there.
I mean,
I don't think that's a coincidence that I copied a bunch of, that I basically copied it very, very closely. And, I wouldn't call it viral, but for me, a really successful video on my channel has 1,000 page views or more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we define viral, like if there's different stages of viral, because, in our corner, it seems if you get, I don't know, 2,000 views within a day, we think of it as viral. But of course,
right, yeah, it's huge for our little corner of BookTube, but Jack Edwards would laugh at that.
Yeah, probably gets it in 10 minutes.
Probably wouldn't give it a second thought. One of the things I've noticed too is that some of these larger booktubers, Jack Edwards, for example, and then another one that I like is Benjamin McAvoy. But these guys didn't start as booktubers. Jack Edwards started as, he was basically vlogging about his experiences as a college student. And Benjamin McAvoy was real similar. He was giving advice and doing consulting for people who wanted to get into difficult to get into colleges like Oxford. And their channels over time sort of morphed into BookTube channels.
And why, though, if they didn't feel that there was some, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't know them, but I would imagine that probably it wasn't just a hobby, that they maybe did settle on it as a.
I don't think it was just a hobby, no.
Yeah. So if they
well, and I think one of the factors you've got to look at too, gambling is a really profitable niche. So is weight loss, so are credit cards, so is insurance, and I can make videos talking about those, but they're also extremely competitive. One of the nice things about the book space, this is not a competitive space.
No.
It's easy to rank in the search engine for phrases that bring traffic. This is just not a competitive space at all. So that doesn't mean it's easy money, because, I found this out owning a bookstore, just how brutal the book industry is, because when I owned my bookstore in America, Ingram is the big wholesale distributor for bookstores. And the wholesale price of a book is 60% of its cover price, generally speaking. So if I'm selling a book for $10, I've paid $6 for it to the distributor. Well, that's $4 profit. But if I go to Amazon, they have a 30% discount on almost every book they keep in stock. Yeah. So if I want to match their price, which of course I do, because I want my customers to love me, now I'm only making $1 on that book. And as one of my business mentors pointed out to me once when I was a much younger man, you can be the greatest dry cleaner in the world, but you're probably never going to get rich from it.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, we'll come to this in a minute, but there are supplementary things people can do. And I think, for example, McAvoy is a good example, but I do want to go through the comments again. So we do have people with differing views. Obviously, Jim, as I've already shown, it's a hobby, not a road to riches. Linda's a bit more pessimistic there and saying at your own risk, starting a BookTube channel, creating BookTube videos does cut into your reading time. Media Haven is here. Hello. Faith is here. Hi, Faith.
Faith.
Jenny says, if you make money from a hobby, is it still a hobby? I think yes. Because a lot of people do things as a kind of hobby, like sewing or crocheting or something that may start to say sell things. But of course, you can shift easily into being your income mix here. Hi there. Media Haven, your hobby should make enough money to support your hobby. Agreed. I think a few extra pounds to buy books is not, it's not a much. We were both talking. We won't necessarily mention it here, or we can, but we were both talking about if we could earn extra money. We had a kind of threshold, didn't we? And it wasn't extravagant, and it would be nice to kind of just add a few kind of little bits of extra income / pay for this bookish lifestyle.
I think we had set a target of $500 a month for our channels. That was our personal challenge to each other, was to get to the point where we're making $500 a month.
Yeah, but I think just from the channel that would be difficult. Definitely. I mean,
it depends on your monetization strategy.
Well, you would have to have a hell of a lot of views to make $500 a month out of it.
Well, it just depends on your I mean, if your monetization strategy is just to put, AdSense for YouTube up, and you're gonna make money off advertising, well, then yeah, of course not. On the other hand, if you're gonna do like Benjamin McAvoy and have a membership,
we'll come back to that. I just want to finish the comments, and then we'll get into this supplementary stuff. Sorry, I hope you don't think I'm being rude. But I do.
I probably not remember where I was, but that's okay.
Well, I'll remember.
I'll think of something else to say.
I will remember because it's in my head as well. So just talking about the freezing. I started my channel with the hope of becoming part of a small community. I figured if I did not succeed, at least I would get some good recommendations. Indeed. Indie author Jill, hello. I think my viewers are horror fans. The most viewed video is a review I did for a horror novella called The Last Call that was written by Zendili Kombokazi Zulu. Nice. Farah says, some of the new channels I see that have grown really fast seem to have more videos about book recommendations than they do about their personal reading. Yeah, I think that's very true, Farah. And that's something definitely we want to touch on. Book Leo is another big channel worth watching with 628,000 subscribers. Jesus, there's so many comments. I've never been this popular, Randy. You must really draw in the crowds here. Or maybe it's just Wednesday night, nothing's on. I'm completely uncompetitive about BookTube. I like the community. It does take more time than one thinks, though, and it affects choices in reading. That is true. Criminally got almost 1 million views for discussing the fact that you don't own your Kindle content. The Gilmore Guys will be a hit. You really should do it. And I really think we should. I think it'll be great.
I'm in.
You're in? We're in. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Where are we? I think the only book-related video Jackson I saw was him reading celebrity influencer books. Sometimes when someone has a smart TV on YouTube, I'll just search BookTube and often get Jack Edwards, Book Leo, or Haley Pham. Same markup for the record shops, Randy. Alan's here. Hi, Alan. Michael's here. Hello. Put Elvis' picture on t-shirts and sell them. I do have Elvis's picture on t-shirts on my channel, but no one's bought one yet. Well, it's not really his real picture. It's an interpretation, of course. But what I appreciate about a few videos of Ben McAvoy's I've seen is that he encourages people to slow down, take your time with reading, quality over quantity. Merch. Great point, Lou. I've noticed that about his videos too. Faith, I like my little corner of BookTube. So do I. You should start selling dinosaurs. Jenny, dinos are mine. Mick has read a book. Thumbs up. We've all caught up. So now, Randy, I remember what you were going to say. And
I remember what I was going to say too.
You do?
Yeah, a lot of it depends on your monetization strategy.
There we go.
You look at somebody like Benjamin McAvoy. So, this guy's only publishing one video a month publicly, but he's got a book club, and it's not you know, it's not insanely expensive. I think it's $25 a month to get access to the backstage content, but it's packed with content. His membership site, there, I want to say 650 videos behind the paywall. So if you support him on Patreon for $25 a month, you're getting a lot of value there. There's a lot of discussion going on, but you know, to make $500 a month, you only need 20 people willing to pony up $25 a month to be part of your book club.
That's true.
And I think that's a lot more effective a monetization strategy than relying on showing ads. I'm not a big fan of showing ads on my channel. In fact, I don't show ads on my channel if I can help it.
Mm-hmm. What, you mean you don't monetize the videos?
No.
Huh.
No. I will say this too. You know, everybody knows I've had health problems. I've done a GoFundMe or two. I believe I've done 2 GoFundMes since becoming a booktuber, and I've been amazed and overwhelmed, and I'm insanely grateful for the financial support I've received from the community. It's just been wonderful. And, you know, it occurred to me not too long ago, instead of going out with my hat in my hand and saying, hey, please help me out, it would probably be better for me to have a Patreon site where people actually get something in exchange for the money that they're so kind to give me.
Yeah. I think it is amazing just how supportive and giving this community really is. You know, I've seen it. As you say,
really is. It's unbelievable.
Your Kickstarter and other friends of ours who've had problems as well. People really did rally around to help them. I was just looking at my Patreon. I was curious how many posts I've got, how much stuff I've got in there. I've got approaching 500 things on there though. So 479.
I haven't launched my Patreon yet.
And I think I'm a good value too. I mean, how much do you say,
Jack? 500 posts? Is that what you said?
Almost 500, yeah, 480,
okay.
479. And I don't know, what am I, $3 or something a month, generally speaking?
Right.
Tier. So,
well, you know, I'll say this about Benjamin McAvoy too. It's not just that he's got 650 posts. You know, most of them are an hour long, hour and a half, 2 hours long. I mean, these are like lectures.
But to be fair, this is his job, right? This is his.
It's all he does. There's no way he could have this amount of content unless he were doing it full time.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And I think that's, you know, I don't know if that's true of Jack Edwards or not. It doesn't seem to me like Jack Edwards publishes very often.
I don't know. I've never watched him. I think I've seen one video in 4 years. So
we have very different tastes in books, Jack and I. And, but I'm always curious to see what he's up to because I know he's succeeding and I know there are reasons for that. You know, he's really good at writing titles. He's really good at making thumbnails. You know, and titles and thumbnails, I'm convinced that's 80% of it. Yeah. I think the description is important too, but titles and thumbnails, I think it's hard to underestimate how important those are.
I think so, but the video still has to kind of show up, doesn't it? So you have to somehow catch that algorithm. Joseph agrees that Benjamin has a great channel. McAvoy, this is. Linda says she never joins Patreons, which is understandable as well, of course. I don't think people don't. Videos. David, hi David. David says the revenue from ads must be pathetically little. Well, it is.
Oh yeah.
However, I don't get a little each month because there's like a threshold. So I get a little possibly 3 times a year if I'm lucky. And it's not, you know, when it pays out at the threshold, it's a nice little, you know, I don't know, meal out or a good shopping trip of books each time it comes out, let's say. You know, it's not going to be much more. I think it's something like, for me, I'm not going to say the amount I get when I do get a payout, but generally speaking, I think it's about $2 per 1,000 views.
$2 CPM?
Something like that. I'm trying to exchange rate it from my Czech crowns, but I think it's something like that. And when you think about it then, so, you know, I had, if I'm lucky, but then you see it never seems to stick to that. I do think sometimes it tells you at 1 minute, okay, this is $2 per 1,000 views. And then, you know, you've got 2,000 views on a video, and yet you look on it and it doesn't. It's not $4 that you made on it though. So
right, yeah, it's pretty fluid. I ran a website several years ago. I sold a network of gambling websites for an ungodly amount of money. Or it was an ungodly amount of money for a good old boy from Texas. And of course, being an alcoholic and an egomaniac at the same time, I was absolutely convinced that I was the greatest business mind in the world after that. And in this case, I actually did. A lot of it was just luck, right place, right time. So one of the things that I always wanted to do was I wanted to run a movie review website. And so I went out and hired 3 movie critics, excellent movie critics, and we reviewed every new release that came out every week, just like we were a major newspaper or any other major site reviewing movies. Mm-hmm. It was pitiful the amount of money we made. You know, we were monetizing through Google AdSense, but I don't think that site ever made $10 or $20 in a month. And like a fool, I kept pouring money into it over the course of years because I thought, surely this has got to turn around. Surely there's got to be a way to monetize this. No, it's just a terrible niche. The motion picture niche, in terms of running a website about film criticism, there's just no money in it. Or if there's money in it, I couldn't figure out how to make it. Yeah. And I think the book niche is really similar in that respect. You know, just running ads, it ain't going to make you a lot of money.
No.
Not unless you're doing, you know, like individual sponsorships. Like I've seen some of this. You know, I'm a big fan of Better Than Food. I don't know if you ever watch his channel.
Yeah,
but at one point, Clifford Lee Sargent is his name. But at one time, he was doing sponsored videos where, you know, just like in the old school, like Paul Harvey used to do, where, you know, he's doing his show and then he'll stop in the middle of it and then do a live read of an advertisement. And that has got to pay way more than just your run of the mill, you know, ads stuff that you're buying.
You know, you must have you had some approaches yet about that?
I haven't yet. No.
Yeah. I had 1 or 2, but I don't know. I just thought it was, 1, not my cup of tea, and 2, I wasn't sure I could trust them, you know, like who it was.
I don't think my audience is big enough
or someone, but it was sorry?
Yeah. I don't think my audience is big enough for someone to come to me and say, hey, we want to buy an ad from you.
Yeah, but I think for them, it can be worth it. If they choose 100 people who are sitting on around 2,000 subscribers, you know, they might think, okay, it's worth it if we pay them $50, you know.
Well, it depends. You know, let's say you're a self-published author who writes Westerns. You know, there are specific YouTube channels where they just review Western novels, or that's largely their focus. You know, that would probably be very worthwhile advertising to buy because it's such a hyper-targeted audience.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, just a general book site, like I run you know, I don't know exactly how you would describe the theme of your channel, but mine has kind of crystallized for me over the last couple of years that, you know, I want to talk about literature, highbrow, lowbrow, and everything in between. And, you know, that's a pretty broad range. That's almost as broad as poor old Jack Edwards. But Jack Edwards doesn't really talk about older classic books at all. It's all new stuff.
Well, I'm getting the feeling, though, that actually sometimes I don't think, I mean, there's obviously there's a group of people who do care about the books and will probably leave if I stop talking about, you know, books generally. But I do feel there is a core audience, and then maybe this sounds big-headed, I don't know. You can tell me, some of you, who actually just come and watch because they want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah,
and it might be the same for you. I don't even necessarily mean about books. I could like, you know, with this letter from Bohemians thing I've been doing, which I've been really enjoying. It's got it doesn't get many views, but it's got a small group of dedicated people. It's always the same people who are commenting on it and stuff, and it's great. But I'm not talking about books. I'm just talking about things that inspired me or things that I found interesting, and I write like a little piece every week, and then I read it on my channel. But I do think sometimes, I think maybe I don't know, maybe I could get away with it. I know some people would say they'd just be happy me reading the instructions on on a box of cereal or something. You know, the because
you were one of the first channels I subscribed to,
so,
and I don't remember a whole lot of books that you've mentioned that I thought, oh God, I got to read that. In fact, most of the time when you recommend a book, it goes in one ear and out the other. And I'm sure it's the same for you watching my channel.
Well, but, I think about this, like with Jim, for example, Mystery of Mayhem, a good friend of ours, you know, really. Like Jim. He's really into all, like when he starts talking about, I don't know, some of this sword and sorcery stuff or whatever. It means nothing to me. But I like Jim, so I watch his video.
Oh, yeah, Jim's terrific. He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah. I've got
well, you know what? Here's the thing. It's a wonderful thing because, all right, when I was growing up and when you were growing up, we didn't have an opportunity to go find an audience because we as people are really niche people. You know, we're not Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson appeals to everybody, okay, or he did. But you and I, we don't appeal to everybody. But we live in a day and age where the technology is such that we can reach whatever audience that we have, even if it's really small. You know, 2,000 people, I'm pretty thrilled to have an audience of 2,000 people.
Well, you know, if you think
I don't know how many of those guys are bots, but
think about if you fit 2,000 people into Driftwood Ranch.
Right.
You know, then it kind of puts it in perspective. I mean, it's a lot of people.
That's a whole lot of beer I'd have to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. A whole lot of steaks and a whole lot of beer.
All those steaks. Oh my God. I do love a steak, man.
But anyway, so I will say, David, in answer to your statement there, for me, yes, revenue from ads is small, but it's well received when I get it. And then also I do have a nice little flow from Patreon, which actually does help me. And I'm not going to lie. It's I'm not obviously on the breadline or anything, but it's a nice little injection every month that I can use specifically to go and buy books. Because I will say, I said it last week, but I said again, you know, I think a lot of you obviously who are doing your BookTube channels from America, Britain, or other countries, especially where they speak English, will find that it's just so easy to get hold of books. Here, it's easy to get hold of books, but it's more expensive. You know, I can get English books or whatever, but I have to pay more for them. And, you know, I'm in Eastern Europe. So there you go. But, Central Europe, I should say, otherwise people will be angry at me. Alan Reed says, YouTube has started showing ads on my videos and I'm not monetized. Yes. And this, Randy, is what I was going to say. You might as well be monetized because otherwise YouTube's just making money off you anyway. So,
well, my situation's, you're right.
Okay.
But I do have a situation involving that because
later.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated for me because I have multiple corporations, and I was not as thoughtful about which corporate Google account I was going to use to launch my YouTube channel, and so it's not one that I want to attach to the advertising through AdSense.
Yeah,
for various reasons.
I understand.
But if I were ever to launch a second channel, you know, I might very well monetize it through YouTube.
Yeah, if you get to the threshold, though, that's where the work starts, eh?
That's the thing. You know, I like setting goals. You know, that's one of the things that's interesting to me about YouTube. And it's not just as it relates to monetization, but there are lots of people who have opinions about whether you should or shouldn't monetize your channel, or, you know, whether you should or shouldn't be competitive with the number of books that you read each month. Hey, man, if that's fun for you, do it. You know, no big deal. You know, if it's not fun for you, don't do it. But don't tell people. I like I like setting goals and hitting targets. To me, it's a big thrill to say I read 12 books last month, you know, but I understand that a lot of people aren't into the numbers game and they don't like that. But that doesn't mean I can't be allowed to like that. I think it's fun.
Exactly.
It's meaningless. I know it's meaningless, but it's still fun. And it's the same thing with monetization. You know, if I want to run ads, if you don't like watching the ads in the middle of my videos, which there aren't any, I hope, but I mean, you don't have to watch. It's cool. It's all good, man.
The thing is,
there's no wrong way to do BookTube, in my opinion.
Live and let live, as it were, right? You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've heard Steve Donahue say multiple times there is no wrong way to enjoy your reading hobby. And I would extend that even further and say there's really no wrong way to enjoy your BookTube hobby, as long as you're not hurting anybody else on here. And I think, you know, I don't think there's a lot of real bullying going on around here on BookTube.
Well, I think you know, Linda raises a point here where she says she never sees the ads because she pays the monthly fee. So do I.
I pay the monthly fee too.
It's not that much. So I mean, to be honest, it is actually
it's all I watch.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I'm you know,
it's well worth it to me because it's all I watch. You know, I don't pay for Netflix, so why not spend it on YouTube?
Gosh, you're scheduling Indie Author Jill ahead of time. On August 1st, I'll be posting a video asking for self-published authors to post a link to their books so I can start buying books for my 2026 videos.
Oh, very cool.
Very well organized. Yeah.
I guess I better go write a book.
Better go write a book. Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
I have a few titles in mind.
I bet you do. We've already got one of them, haven't we? What's it? The King Solomon's Mind.
I've always wanted to write a collection of short stories called Drunkards, Braggarts, and Dangerous Men.
I had a title for mine, and I don't think I can say it on here, sadly. But I like yours.
That's just one. Another title I had in mind, and it's going to be a Western. And I'm going to run with this. Don't steal my title, please. Don't go writing a Western under this title. The Man from Armageddon.
Oh, what? That was... I'm totally going to steal that. No.
Don't do it, Mark.
Actually,
maybe we can co-write it.
Linda's written a book called River Girl by Linda Jo Martin, and she's offering to send it to Jill. There you go. Gareth says, sensational, controversial videos will always do well, but I will never just do it because they do well. I would only do it sincerely. They do well, though. Is Randy gone again? Oh, well, I can get through these while he's disappeared.
I think BookTube is wonderful.
Sorry, you disappeared again, Randy, and then you just came back straight in with, I think BookTube is wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. I reappeared. I wanted to make sure I got that in there though and stuff. If you're thinking, if you're thinking about starting a BookTube channel, I encourage you to. I was a passive member. Well, not passive, but I was just a commenter for a year before I launched my channel. And it was because I thought I had to have everything perfect. And it turns out I didn't have to have everything perfect. People like me just because they like me. It's certainly not because of the quality of my audio.
Yeah, well, I guess that's fair enough. That's true.
But yeah, I'd encourage anybody, give it a try. You might find out that you really like it. It's been a lot of fun for me. I can honestly say that BookTube has changed my life. No, that sounds real dramatic.
That's the video title.
It's changed my life.
That's the video title. That's your next video you're going to put up this week.
How BookTube changed my life.
How BookTube has changed my life. There you go.
You know what? I'm writing that down because that actually is a good idea. That's two great. How to make $1 million on BookTube and how BookTube has changed my life. There's two videos right there.
There you go.
The word "how" is a trigger word. It's a power word. You get more clicks if you use the words "how to" in your title.
Do you do how BookTube has changed my life, or do you do 5 ways BookTube has changed my life?
That's another way to do it too. Well, the thing is, if how BookTube changed my life is popular, then you make another video, 10 ways BookTube has changed my life.
Yeah.
Float one of them out there, and if it goes well, then you float the other one out there too. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
That should be Linda's, Book Lady Linda's next video, when she said that BookTube cuts into your reading time, so she could do how BookTube has changed my reading or something like that. How BookTube has,
it does cut into my reading time, but I'll say this: I'm more motivated to read so that I'll have something to talk about on my channel.
Yeah, that's
performance measured is performance improved. And so I've started keeping track of what books I'm reading, how many pages I'm reading per month, and that sort of thing. And I know I'm reading a lot more as a result. I've been keeping up with how many books I read for 15 years, and last
Yeah.
year was the best year I've had in 15 years. And
I don't
there's
think
no doubt in my mind it's because of BookTube.
I don't think it necessarily detracts from my reading time. Maybe from something else. Maybe from the time I would spend gardening or the time I would spend watching TV. I don't think it necessarily affects my reading time, but I don't know.
Right.
God, I tell you, it's amazing. I'm not used to having so many comments. I'm
This is great.
a couple because they are.
We have an audience, Mark.
I know, it's really nice.
We have an audience that I love, by the way.
I think that's a key thing to say, that when we are talking about these things, it doesn't mean in any way we're dissatisfied or unhappy. Because
No,
I had a comment on one of my videos. I think it was one of the ones in response to Carl and things. And they made it sound like they were kind of a little bit saying that I should be grateful. And I never, ever meant to come across that I'm not. Of course, I am extremely. But we all can't help but wonder, I think, a little bit, is how much further can we go? Although saying that, I have so many unanswered comments at the moment on my channel. It's actually giving me anxiety. So it's like,
let me just say one thing before you start getting into those comments.
Yeah.
I love Carl, love his channel, watch all his videos, but I would like to see the hedgehog come back to BookTube too. I miss him.
But if I had more subscribers, I'm struggling as it is with replying to all the comments anyway. So it is a kind of roundabout, I suppose. Let's see. There's a lot of people talking to each other now, so it's actually maybe not as many comments as I thought. Dorothy, Benjamin McAvoy also does a podcast called Hardcore Literature. He posts intermittently, but there's a ton of content available, and it's all free. Jenny loves finding new indie self-published books. My Kindle doesn't make it easy to tell the difference, and I don't know what to look for, especially with how much work goes into making them. Jill, I'm buying 100 since I usually read about 2 books a week. We'll do an unboxing video /26 TBR video, and then throughout the year I'll do monthly TBR videos since there's yeah. And I do actually say, I mean, obviously indie author Jill has a channel. Faith and Books has a channel. Alan Allen's Reads has a channel. Ghost Readers in the Sky has a channel. Book Lady Linda, of course, has a channel. And Gareth from Book Songs Other Magics. I'm just looking back. So all those people have channels, and anybody else, if you have a channel, state it in the comments. Because if you are watching this, go and check out those people's channels too. I'm sure they would appreciate subscriptions to Libro Paradiso. It has a channel. Jim's Books Reading and Stuff definitely has a channel. I'm not sure, Jenny, I know you've been on live. Do you actually have an active channel? I can't remember. So check those out, people. Here we go. Gosh, I'm lost now. I do watch Mark. There we go. I'll start with this. I do watch Mark because I like Mark, his manner and what he has to say. That's very kind of you. Jenny, I read mostly fantasy and sci-fi. Mark, I come just to listen to you and Elvis, of course. It's very kind of you.
Does anybody watch me because they like me?
They love you. They adore you.
Okay.
Yeah. Perpetual Shelves has a channel, of course, as well. Honestly, most of my subs are bots. Yeah. So every channel needs a champion. Gareth, yeah, I'd say most booktubers I watch read different books, and there's a couple that definitely read what I read but don't grab me. I'd rather watch an authentic personality that I have nothing in common with than a fake brand that talks about everything I love. I think that's a very nice way of putting it, Media Haven. Again, talking to each other. eBay substantially made books cheaper and more accessible when looking for hard-to-find books. Steve, oh, hi, Steve. Thank you. The letters from Bohemia are beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. I remember 1999 buying the first edition of The Unbearable Lightness of Being from a used bookshop for $50. Now I see the same first edition for a couple of dollars on eBay. Exactly. Dane Reads changed his channel name to Dane Cobain, and you've read one of his novels. Okay. Actually, Gareth is a published author as well. independently published author. So you can check out his books, Jill, as well, perhaps. Dane's channel was the first BookTube channel I subscribed to 7 or 8 years ago. We did a read along of Rebecca, and I've been hooked on classics since. I wonder how long it will be before we find a wave of AI slop on BookTube. Yeah, I'm definitely worried about that. And that was actually going to be my suggestion for a bit of discussion next week, Randy. Maybe AI in the future of BookTube. So, God, my goodness, I am not used to this. How on earth does someone like Steve Donahue survive with all these comments? This is amazing. Slightly more.
It's marvelous, isn't it? How many people do we have watching? I can't see that.
We got 33 now, but we got up to 40, I think, which is.
I feel like a superstar, man.
I know it's quite a lot for my channel, definitely. Slightly more great title. Has BookTube ruined my life? That's a good title, isn't it? Has BookTube ruined my life?
That's not bad at all.
Or BookTube ruined my life? Question mark. Maybe. I read Scarlet Sins by Dane Cobain. It was a 4-star read for me. Okay, interesting. I don't know if I'd ever do a Patreon because I'd worry the only people who support my Patreon are people who I support on Patreon. Yes. Yes.
That's kind of fun too, though. I saw a video a while back called The Dark Side of BookTube. And it was one of those ones. It's obviously clickbait, of course, but I immediately responded and made a video called The Bright Side of BookTube.
The larger channels answer the comments in the first video hour, and it promotes the channel interaction right after. Interesting. Thanks, Val. So, must read more. Hello, Mark. Hello, Randy. This is here. You both inspired me to start my channel, and it's been a wonderful experience so far. Thank you. That's lovely, isn't it?
You're very welcome. That made my day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really nice. Really nice to hear that.
It really is. It's just amazing that this little thing called YouTube has enabled us to connect in so many ways too. And I don't know about you, Mark, but I've received just as gifts more books than I can count from people.
Oh, I don't really. I mean, I do.
I'm not out there begging for them, but people just say, hey, you want these? And I'm like, yeah. And then a week or two later, I get this big box full of Westerns or private eye novels.
Well, you have the advantage. You have the advantage, of course, being in the States, right?
Yes. Well, it has to have some advantage.
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't blame it, of course, but no one wants to send a box of books from upstate New York to the Eagle Mountains of Eastern Bohemia, do they? Because it's going to probably cost more than the books are worth anyway. But after the first hour, the comments might get heart or ignored for their sanity. I did mention your channel, Jim. I did. BookTube makes up for a shortage of people I personally know who read books. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's a good point. Jenny has 3 videos and some shorts. So head over to Jenny's channel and subscribe. Or perhaps like a wise woman. I agree with Randy. That's what people like to hear. I agree with Randy. It would be great if Christopher the Hedgehog came back. Why is he called the Hedgehog?
I'm in love with a redhead who reads a lot of books. And she called me the other day and asked me, she said her therapist told her that he thought maybe she was suffering from a process addiction related to books because she's reading 12, 13, 14, 15 books a month. And she wanted to know my opinion. And I used to be her AA sponsor, in fact. I'm not anymore. But I asked her, I said, well, have you ever been late to work because you were reading a book? No. Well, have you ever spent money you should have spent on bills on books? No. I said, tell your therapist to go take a hike. It doesn't sound to me like it's interfering with your life at all.
Have you ever woken up next to a book you don't own?
Right. Very nice. Yeah, but I mean, if you go down the list of the things that you think of with addicts, none of those applied to her reading habit at all. And anyway, she's a lovely woman. I'm madly in love with her, but she hasn't quite warmed up to me yet.
Where are we? You're all indeed superstars. Thank you. Libra Paradiso, Quentin Curious Volumes and Book Chat with Pat are 2 I especially like how they discuss books. Now, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Both great. But I have to say about Book Chat with Pat is It's amazing. I don't know. I'm guessing she's retired. Is she?
A retired school teacher, I believe.
But she seems to be. Every time I click on a video, there's a comment from Book Chat with Pat on that video. It's like I'm thinking, is this her full-time job now?
Right. She's very active.
Very much so. Very much so. Good luck to
I
her.
also always picture her with a ruler in her hand, ready to wrap my knuckles with it for misbehaving.
Linda says many people read only the chat comments that most interest me. I think that's very true. Or at least they look to see who made the comments in some cases. Farah says, but the real question is, would you want a bigger channel that makes money at the risk of losing the more intimate feel of a smaller channel? No. I think I would keep. I don't
think it's an either or, though.
No, perhaps. So many. The thing that takes time is watching other BookTube. Yeah, that's true. It's totally free, which nobody ever says. Oh my God, that was the longest 5 minutes of my life. Which 5 minutes is that? Me going through the comments or what? You can go to any BookTuber's channel and see what their most popular video is. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm new to your channel. You came up on my home feed. Oh, here we go. Catching up here. What kind of books do you both read? So this Vanessa's new to both of our channels. So here's your pitch, Randy. Pitch to Vanessa.
Mark and I were talking about this earlier. We don't generally have, there's overlap in our bookish interests. Mark and I both like Victorian adventure and Victorian crime novels. I know Mark's an Arthur Conan Doyle fan like I am. We're both H. Rider Haggard fans. I believe that Mark likes some of the classics too. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you like Charles Dickens, right?
Yeah, I like Charles Dickens, Victor Hugo.
Yeah, see, I'm a big fan of Charles Dickens. But I think Mark tends to like a lot more nonfiction and history than I do. Whereas, I like to get lost in another world. I like to get lost in novels.
I'm being freaked out by my shadow on the wall here. It's like Alfred Hitchcock.
Love Alfred Hitchcock.
And yes, I would agree, Vanessa, with what Randy says. We do have a lot in common. I think, Randy, you would obviously veer towards the sci-fi and fantasy as well, which I don't so much on my channel. I do like classics. I do like more kind of, sometimes I would say, I don't want to say obscure books, but books that are not like completely, widely read. Things like RL, I've completely forgotten. Delderfield, for example, these kind of things. Some more obscure Alexander McCall Smith books that a lot of people don't read. I mean, they know his more famous series, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's an eclectic mix, and pretty much often goes with the mood, unless I find myself in too many BookTube events. And then, generally speaking, you'll find I often bow out of them because I find that I can't, manage it all. So. And
you are a school teacher.
I am a school teacher. Yeah.
Do you teach English or ?
I teach English conversation.
Okay.
Which means, we have a Czech teacher who teaches all the grammar and stuff. And then, so if you think the kids have 3 English lessons a week, and the third one is with me, for example, or one of those 3 is with me, where we go over conversation and stuff. But also, I teach biology, maths. Sorry, that's not true. I teach biology, art, history, and geography. But I do it in a, let's say, 25-minute segment for that lesson. So they'll have for all those subjects, they have 2 lessons a week, and 25 minutes of those 2 lessons will be made up of English. So for example, if we do sex ed, which we've done, sexual education, they will learn it in Czech, and then they will get 25 minutes or so, sometimes longer, it depends, with me having to talk about it in English. So they're learning, they're learning through English, and they're learning more relevant things as well to their, so, we'll talk about photosynthesis in biology. We'll talk about Art Nouveau in art in English, as well as in, of course, their native language. And that's great fun, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that kind of stuff. So
among my many other careers, I was at one time an English teacher, a high school English teacher.
Well, I would hope so, seeing as you are the only literate person in Texas. They probably need you.
Looking back, that would not have been the screen name I would have chosen. I would have chosen a literate Texan rather than the.
I like it. It's memorable.
There are certain people here who are far more literate than I am, I'll tell you.
But it's very memorable. It's very memorable. I think we'll wrap up soon if you don't mind, but I will just go through the last of the comments. So, interesting story idea, waking up next to an unknown book. Well, there we go. Pat is a retired school teacher. She's taught literature. She's very supportive of the community. You have it on subscribers mode only, and people can comment after being sub for 5 minutes. Oh, that's why it's as long as 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm sorry, Vanessa, but usually, well, to be honest, I haven't had too many people pop in who weren't subscribers, and often when I've been on other channels, like Sean, for example, I remember years ago, we got bombarded by people on his channel. And so it was just one of those things. I leave it on the mode, but I hope that hasn't put you off. Thank you for subscribing to us. Well, yeah, but you can't take it. It's my idea. If it's the waking up next to the book, of course you can. I'll let you have it. I also play video games, and I've considered making videos about what video games have been inspired by books, such as Red Dead Redemption and Lonesome Dove, and how they intersect. Libra Paradise says, never read any Dickens. Vanessa, I like watching people who read similarly and differently from me. I probably read romance the most, but I like a little bit of everything.
I like romance novels.
Yeah, well, you're a big old romantic, aren't you?
No, I'm just a big sucker for romance, man. Send me flowers and you'll sweep me off my feet.
So, well, yeah, do you want to leave your PO box number for the flowers? Or?
Oh, if someone wants to get in touch with me, I'm easy to find.
I reckon, though, if you wrote, Randy, the literate Texan, Driftwood Ranch, Texas, United States of America, it'll probably find you.
It'll probably find me. I've told this story multiple times. It's a wonderful story, but I was in the hospital. I've been in and out of the hospital a little over the last couple of years, but I was just about to take a nap one day, just had turned off the lights, and someone had popped up in my room that I didn't know. I didn't recognize them, but he had a book in his hand, and I overheard him talking to the nurse. He was one of my viewers and had brought me a book as a get well present. Whoa. And so I delayed my nap so we could sit and visit for a while.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Yeah, I would love to meet people from BookTube. I really hope to get to America in the next couple of years and be able to, sit down with you, of course. And
I have a spare room.
There we go. Be great. Okay, here we go. The end, right. So certain books get me for more views than others, like The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, Notes from the Underground Dostoevsky, Wuthering Heights by Bronte, and Frida McFadden. I love that BookTube is full of current and former teachers. Media Haven is 19. So
I get that reference.
Yeah, but I have to say, I don't know, Jenny feeling old. I'm feeling positively ancient. If you're only 19.
No, 19.
A few years ago, you could have been one of my students at school. Vanessa, that's why you're Dr. B. I was a grad school professor, part-time for psychological assessment, but mostly practice clinically now. How wonderful. Gosh, I bet you can find some interesting clinical studies all across BookTube. So on that note, Randy, I think we'll wrap it up. So thank you very much, Randy.
I want to thank all of our viewers and commenters. They really made this show terrific today.
Yeah, it's great fun. And we'll be back next week, hopefully, right?
Yes, we will be back next week. Whether or not we have a guest is to be determined.
There we go.
But we will have more tips on how to make money with BookTube next week.
I'm not sure how many we really got to, but it's so much fun doing this.
If you can't make money after watching this show, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Randy will give you your money back, right?
That's right. Exactly right.
So wonderful. So thanks, everybody. Absolutely fantastic to see you all again. So many familiar faces and new ones, which is always nice. And yeah, we shall see you next week. Do take care, everybody. All the best from us. Do we say howdy for goodbye as well? Or?
No, we say bye-bye.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Y'all come back now. You better come home with us.
Well, cheerio, one and all. Till next time.
Adios, amigos.
Bye-bye.